singing.
Or clearing your throat.
No, I was. I was clearing my throat and singing at the same time. Hi, everyone. It's Golf Spiritual Leader, along with the Coach Tim. And this is Swing Thoughts. I'm going to say episode 187. What do you think?
Bang on, man.
Right
Not
on.
usually a numbers guy, but that one I'm on top of.
And if anyone has been paying attention, I've never gotten that right. I don't know why I did today, but welcome,
It took me
everyone.
2 years to get my website right.
I got it now. It's o'connorgolf.ca. What do you want?
O'Connor Golf Heritage UK something, right?
That's right. It's o'connor.info@org.io. Anyway, welcome, everyone. Let's not start off on the wrong foot. Let's just say hi to each other. As always, this program brought to you by JW Apparel Inc. and, of course, Tailor Made Golf, the home of the Carbon Club. That's what I'm calling it.
Did yours arrive?
Yes.
Mine too.
You talking about your irons, or are you talking about
my driver, my stealth driver?
Me too.
And I hit it yesterday.
How was it?
Fun.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. Pretty fun instrument. I picked it up the other day. I haven't hit it, but I hit it in the simulator when we were fit.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be leaving today. We're recording this program on the 4th of February. If you're downloading it in the future, I'm on my way to Palm Springs, and in about 10 days' time, after I, spend some time being a good boyfriend and like going sightseeing and things, I'll get a chance to hit that outdoors sometime the second week of February. I'll let you know how it goes.
So that little Italian trip, there's some good learning there about how to be a good boyfriend on a trip. I see you smiling.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Like, I think as a boyfriend, I'm like a solid 6. I'm not scratch. I don't know about you, but I'm not. I was married for 20 years. I barely got down to a, 1 or 2, but I'm definitely a 6 as a boyfriend. I do the best I can.
How's your response to, hey, there's a really nice museum on the eastern side? How do you respond?
I just say yes now. She really loves that stuff. So I just go along.
Well, museums are nice.
Yeah. When I met my love, she was the managing director of the Museum of Contemporary Art. So we visit a lot of museums. And I just kind of wander around making this face like I know. I just do this. I just make faces at the art. Go, oh, that's interesting, honey. Oh, tell me more about that.
With Sandy and I, like 36 years ago, on our honeymoon in France, we went to the, I forget what's officially called, but the Impressionist Museum and to the Louvre. And I just remember standing in front of these incredible works of art. And I just go, cool.
Well,
what's your erudite academic assessment of this piece of work? Cool.
That's cool. Well, at first though, because we went to a lot of modern art, like the MoMA. I've been to MoCA. I've been to MoCA, New York, and in modern art, she got really mad at me because I finally stopped doing it because I'm a 6. Because I was doing things like, I could have done that. A child could have done that. That looked like a kid got drunk and threw up, and that's art. And then she finally said, enough of you.
Exactly.
So we were in Venice, as you know, and there's a very famous museum there, the Guggenheim, Peggy Guggenheim of the famous Guggenheim family, took up residence in Venice in the 50s and famously was a patron of Pollock. What's his name?
Pollock, yeah. Is he one of the...
Yeah, the
Jackson Pollock.
I was going to say Ed Pollock. The reason I was going to say Ed is because Ed Harris played Jackson Pollock in a movie I saw. Anyway,
Ed Pollock sounds like a bus driver.
I was scoring some huge boyfriend points, like hovering around scratch for the afternoon, right? Because I sort of like, yeah, let's go. I was being enthusiastic, and I'm like, oh, tell me more. And I was doing all right, and I was getting close to scratch as a boyfriend. And then we go around the front of this museum, and the Guggenheim sits right on the Grand Canal of Venice. And famously, go look this up. There's a sculpture of a man sitting on a horse, and the man has a boner. and I couldn't stop making man on the boner statue jokes, taking pictures of it, sending it to all my friends. And finally, she's like, enough. And she got very angry with me and my immaturity. And then I was back up to in the 80s for that afternoon, which is why I'm a solid 6.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's hard not to when that stuff just creeps in your head, it's hard not to give voice to it.
Well, and the thing is, the song Venice is Sinking. Do you know that song? By Spirit of the West?
Rings a bell.
Well, I'll tell you what, you give me one more second through the magic
The interweb?
of the demon Spotify. Here we go.
Demon, oh yeah. You played on Apple.
A lot of listeners of the Humble and Fred show will know this song. It was a sort of edge CFNY staple. Really great little tune. Anyway, in this song, unbeknownst to me, I'd been talking about this man riding a horse with a boner. By the way, the horse doesn't have the boner. It's the man. In the song, because I was talking about it on the Humble and Fred show, and somebody said, by the way, in that Spirit of the West song, they mentioned the guy with an erection at the Guggenheim. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I wasn't the first guy to find that hilarious.
That's in the song?
It's in the song.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Anyway, this is why I'm not a scratch. By the way, another thing I want to do today, speaking of scratch, our friend Ken Osborne, scratch attitude guy, buddy of mine, he's got his book, Play Like Ray, which I've read. I was going to send it to you. Okay. I want to ask his permission because it's he sort of is selling it, but he sort of had sent it around to some friends. He's made some edits on it. Cool. I got to tell you, I'm glad this, because, I'm a bit scattered today. I'm glad I reminded myself of, but anyway, Kent has changed the name of the book. And I just want to get a little shout out for Kent, and then I'll tweet about it later. But the book, I'm going to tell you, it's only about a 30-minute read, and it's about an encounter of a guy who's very frustrated with his golf game, meets a guy, Ray, has a round, and then sort of realizes what's important by watching how Ray conducts himself, a chance to model a behavior that he didn't realize was possible. And through that, sort of transcends and enjoys the game of golf more. Anyway, nice. So it was called Play Like Ray, but he's added some stuff to it. Now it's called The Golfer Who Developed a Scratch Attitude. Unlock the game-changing power of positive emotions. And have fun, play well. It's really, really something else. And if you go to Scratch Attitude, I don't know exactly the URL, but I will also put it up at some point. If you follow me on Twitter, at HumHow, I will put a link in there. Or just look up Kent Osborne, the golfer who developed a scratch attitude. You really love it.
Cool. I look forward to reading that. And Kent's got a cool story, eh? He went from, I think, leadership coaching and then said, I'll try this golf thing. And became a scratch, won his Club C. Whoa. I mean, I hate the guy, but there you go.
No, I know. He started playing later in life. I mean, he had played a little bit, but he never really tried to play golf until later. And then, sort of now Casey's saying, send me the Zoom link. Did we not send Casey any? And can you send it to him?
Yeah, I'll try. I thought he took care of this like weeks ago.
Well, sir, it's okay. Today also we'll talk about a little bit about the Super League, whatever that Greg Norman juggernaut is calling itself, and as well, I'm going to check in with our friend Sean Casey. This is what we're trying to do. Sean Casey's a super friend of the show, friend of both of ours for a long time, and we thought we'd check in with Coach Sean about his indoor facility because I'm not sure if anyone's noticed, but it's been pretty cold the last 30 or 40 days.
Very cool.
I just love how smug we Canadians are. It's like, oh, maybe this will be the winter that, it misses us. Maybe this will be the year winter forgets about us. And then we go through November, December, you go, oh, yeah, winter's not so bad. I remember saying that to somebody. I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then January comes and winter just slaps us all in the head and goes, remember me?
Yeah, well, okay, let's be optimistic here. It's February 4th. We're over the hump.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm one of those people, and I've said it many, many times. I just think that spring should come March 1st because March and most of April is just a bunch of mushy stuff, and then you can't play golf. And
yeah, it's funny how I'm totally think we're over the hump. It's just that I think a lot of places like Burl Oak Indoor Golf, our friend Sean's place, would probably would have been busier this year if it wasn't for the January lockdown. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that the last few years, it seems to me, and maybe Sean can talk about it, there really has been a rise in interest in indoor facilities. You know, for years I was seeing Sean indoors at his facility, Glen Abbey. The cart barn or whatever, they turn it into an indoor, somewhat of an indoor range. You ever stop by that? It was busy all the time, and
Oh yeah.
at the Glen Abbey Academy there. But it just seems to me more and more Canadians are enjoying the experience of indoor golf. I got to be honest with you, I've never really found a place I liked until Casey opened his joint, because it's just so big, and there's a lot of square footage. Well, now look, everybody. There's our friend Sean Casey.
Audio check. How we doing?
Now you sound fine.
Fine.
Oh, good. All right. Good stuff.
Do you think that the last couple of years, seems to me the last 3 to 5 years, has really been an increase in interest in working on your game indoors?
It's been unbelievable. If you look at across the GTA, which is, I mean, I really haven't looked outside of that, but certainly across the Greater Toronto area, the amount of indoor golf facilities, I would guess it has tripled in the during COVID. Unbelievable. So yeah, it's huge growth with the indoor golf game.
Yeah, there's one in the south of Guelph now. There was one for a while. Now there's two. Mike Grierson, our good friend at Glencairn, he's got two spots now. One in Vaughan,
Yep.
one in Milton.
Yeah. If you think about it, guys, I mean, unless like Howard, great to hear you love our facility, but for the most part, people are not driving across city lines to go do indoor golf. You'll drive across city lines to go, play St. George's or something. You'll pass a number of golf courses if you get invited somewhere special, but indoor golf for the most part, let's assume they have good technology, nice, clean, good size bays. For the most part, if you can find one in your neighborhood, you're going to that one, right? So
Yeah.
it makes sense that there's a lot of these, and it gives people the opportunity to go do their indoor golf, hopefully somewhere not too far from home.
And the thing about your place, and I think it's part of the changing nature of indoor practice in general, but it's not just, sort of a dark, dank place with a couple of nets thrown up and, somebody's old, used TrackMan or something. Like your place is, and I say this, it sparkles. It's bright. It's huge. There's bays. There's TrackMan. There's Foresight. But there's also not just the opportunity to work on your golf swing. You can actually use your place for league play, for just to come and have fun playing a golf course.
Yeah, I would say it all stems from, and think about you guys came to the Glen Abbey Academy where I was.
Yeah, we were talking about it.
20 years. I felt like when people walked into that academy, they really liked it. They came in. Most people were like, "Wow, good job! You got a putting green. We did what we could, and we didn't know any different, and it was awesome for us." But when we left there, or when they during COVID, obviously didn't want to run an indoor facility. I don't think anybody wanted to be around other humans indoors at one point. So it was, it made sense. I understood the decision, and it was like, oh man, where are we going to go? And then you start get the wheels turning, and it's like, well, let's not just duplicate it. Let's take what we had there and figure out how we can make it better. And yes, Howard, like you said, brighter. Trying to find a place that had some windows, and just what can we do to take what we had there and build on it, and that's really what Burl Oak Indoor Golf is. It really is the transformation of the former Glen Abbey Academy.
So you provided a space for a number of your golf professional colleagues to come and coach there. You got a lot of great guys there: Ben Ferguson, Nate Robinson. Are you doing coaching as well?
I am, and first and foremost, I would say I'm still an instructor and a coach. I'm a business owner now, but truly, when I built this place, I in some ways selfishly also just built it because I want to spend the rest of my career teaching and providing the best facility for my own students. And I feel like, not to say I deserve it, but it's it's like, you teach for 20 whatever years, 21 years now, and um, all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? The next 21 years, I want it to be the best. I want it to. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I want the best technology. I want it all. I want to have my TPI guy under my roof. I want to have my club repair guy under my roof. I don't want to send them 3 exits down the road. I want it done on the spot. I want to hand those referrals over in person. Hey, come talk to Jeff. So, I want to create this holistic golf support system that I've always been striving for, but I want to have it full time and under one roof.
Case, you deserve it.
No, you do deserve it. And you're when I met you, you were a younger man. Now you're getting old like the rest of us.
He's got gray and everything.
He does.
He's got 2 kids.
I met Casey.
Can we do a show, like one show, without talking about my gray hair increase?
Sorry,
Dude,
pal.
You're talking to 2 guys whose combined age are in the 120s. Whatever age you are, we still call that age kid.
Yeah, exactly.
You do deserve it. What I was going to say is, now I can't remember. No, the fact that the facility you've designed it, and when I say it sparkles, it's bright in there. The everything is shiny and new, but it's also I wanted to. And that's what I wanted to talk about. What Sean's talking about is Jeff Smeaton, who is a great Cairo TPI certified guy. He's there. You can come see his stuff there, and then you've got a golf repair guy. You've got a pro shop. You've got access to pros, but you've also done something in the expansion because Sean opened a couple years ago, and already he's expanded. And I was really curious what it was going to look like, but it's really cool. Describe you call it the largest indoor short game area in the West GTA. It's really so unique in an indoor environment.
I won't lie, the short game was probably the biggest challenge of the whole project. Trying to create something unique. We wanted the experience. I was a little stressed about it because we did a survey of our database and said, hey, we're going to expand. This is what we're thinking. Check the boxes of what you'd like to see in there. By far and away, the most important thing to our database was a bigger, better short game area. So I actually scrapped one of the sims. I was going to have more simulators over there. I was going to have 6, and I got rid of that 6 one, went with 5 to expand the design of the short game area. But then to follow through and make it something that they would enjoy, it was a little stressful. You got to think you're chipping indoors. What's that going to feel like?
There's a window.
And there's a window.
And there's a big window. So
a window on one side of the chipping area, but I noticed that you've sort of made it clear, like, that's not for noobs, okay? You can't go over there if you are still sculling and blading the shit out of stuff.
Yeah, chip away from the window. Away from the window.
Somehow we're so far so good. No damage done. And we did put a little net over it, and it seems to be doing the trick. I don't know how many balls have actually even hit the net, but
it won't tell you.
But it's it's worked out really well. And the challenge building a short game that big, one of them is the sloping. You're trying to get some slope. We had a flat green for many years, and now it's like, all right, we want some slope. We want to do some green reading and work on some different slope percentages and be able to teach aim point and all that. So that was a big challenge, trying to design the slopes in nicely. The designer, Brett from Southwest Greens, he thought I was getting a little wild with my sloping, but I didn't want this to be your standard run around putting green that you see anywhere. I want it to be special, and it does slope up in one spot to 3%, which is quite a bit. But I want to be able to help somebody learn how to aim 3 inches outside the hole on a 4-footer and have the guts to send it out there, 1 cup out to the right on a short putt and let it come back. So I want to have that experience, but it really did come together nicely. There's a lot more work than I thought. The amount of time and hours that the Southwest guys came and kept coming back and me saying, guys, I need this a little better, need that a little better, trying to smooth it out. We had it all done. We rolled the whole green back up, redid the base because I wasn't happy with the smoothness of it. And they were great. We ultimately got on the same page with the standards and where we wanted it to end up. And I'm really happy with the end product. So it's awesome. People love it.
Oh, that's terrific, Sean. And I've been in there. Howard and I have both been in there, and it's so cool. Like you said, a lot of those old style places were kind of dark, and it just wasn't a place I think that you wanted to really hang around too much. Particularly with
exactly,
kids.
they were dingy. The guy who met you at the door was like that guy in Diagon Alley and Harry Potter. It's like, huh? I'm not here to buy a wand. I just want to
Yeah.
I do want to ask you, Sean. I'm sorry, Tim. Are you going somewhere?
I just thought I think we can't really leave this without talking about, shall we say, the evolution of the technology. Maybe speak to how much that has played into the popularity of going in the winter.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our people at Glen Abbey used to be happy hitting into a net.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
exactly.
They came in there. They came in a lot of them daily, and hit balls into a net. Happy. But the expansion, as Howard mentioned earlier, we expanded already. We doubled the size of the place, and the short game, as we just talked about, is a big part of that. But really, the original, my vision of why we expanded was to get more technology. More big hitting bays where you could swing a driver and feel comfortable swinging a driver at full speed indoors. So I wanted to be big, and I wanted to get good feedback. And take your pick, TrackMan or Foresight. They're both awesome. We have them both, but I went with TrackMan in the expansion because mostly because of I felt at the time or right now the playability is great. It's got more courses, and they got the Pebble Beach, and they got the graphics, and Foresight I know is working on their competitors, and Foresight's working on their graphics soon. It's gonna be a tough call, but anyway, the TrackMan with the big bays over there, absolutely. Everybody comes in, they love it. There's way more to that TrackMan software, I'll tell you guys, than I'm guessing even and even I know. Every time I meet with the rep, he's like, have you done this yet? And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, you guys just keep expanding the broadness of what this software can do. It's so much fun. But yeah, and there's more to come. I'll quickly say next year, Foresight product that I'm looking at putting in. I don't want to promise it, but I'm very, very likely going to pull a trigger on the putt view. And maybe you guys have seen it where there's
Yeah, I've seen it.
lines that get
They get
from
projected onto the green.
That's right,
Yeah,
projected
that's
down
awesome.
onto the green. So, I'm going to have putt view
Far out.
installed on that new putting green, and people are going to be able to do like aim point type stuff where they, just like you see on TV, where the line of the biggest break, if you go dying speed, you're going to go way out. It's just going to trickle in the edge of the hole. Or it's like, here's your low line. If you want to take
Right.
the speedy line and hammer it, you could make it on this line and then everywhere in between. So,
And to my knowledge, John, I don't think anyone else, from what I know of, I don't think anyone else indoors has that product. But it is cool. I've seen it.
yeah, I'm excited about that addition. So that'll be the next one. But yeah, the technology is certainly a big part of what's going on here, and it's what makes it a great experience.
One of the cool things I think that about the advent of TrackMan, all that, is that now when you're working with a coach or by yourself, you have numbers, and yeah, you could go do a rabbit hole of numbers, but I think the key thing is that you can actually see what's happening. So rather than trying to adjust your form, which often people get off track, I'm not positioning myself here. When you get the actual numbers, now you've got something you can actually see that your club face is closed or your path. And I just think that is just such a great advance for both the student and for the coach.
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot more of our students and clients around here buy time on the TrackMan and put on the driving range, and they're starting to understand which parameters of the, say, 48 they can put up, through their lessons. I know Ben, who's outside my office here giving a lesson right now. Ben uses TrackMan every lesson. His students get used to which parameters he puts up on the screen during their lesson.
Right.
They know he wants them to be, let's say, 1 degree inside out or whatever. Yeah, so we're starting to see our students rent the TrackMan and put up those parameters like path, like you said, Tim, and get some feedback and get some better practice in.
And let's talk a little bit about a couple things before we let you go. There's two things I want to have you comment on. One is a lot of Canadians are like, okay, that indoor golf seems fun for a few months, but most of us want to be outside as much as we can. So, because I notice here you're going to be open year round. And just before you came on, we were talking about how cold it's been and how, indoor golf has exploded because of, people are finally, putting money into facilities like yours. So 2 questions. What do you say to the person who says, well, why would I join Burl Oak Indoor Golf when come basically the middle of April till the end of October, I can go outside, number one. And on the same question. Just how effective is working on your game indoors? I don't think a lot of people who haven't tried it understand just how much growth you can make indoors versus during the golf season. Because for me, once the end of March comes, I'm done dicking around with my swing. I said that to you the other day. I said, when I get back from Palm Springs, we'll have a check-in, but I'm not working on it come April 1st. So what would you say to all of that?
First of all, I understand that. And myself and the other instructors here at Burloak Indoor Golf, we're all affiliated with an area club link course. I will be happily teaching outdoors at Rattlesnake Point this summer. Awesome facility, and I'm excited to be back there. Having said that, indoors, first of all, we all know that it seems to go from winter to blazing hot in Ontario. It's just like the spring, the perfect little summer day, you might want to call it, in the low 20s. This doesn't seem to last. And then next thing you know, it's 38 humidex. So now some people are fine with that, and I understand that. But there's a lot of people that don't like that real heat. So, we think that the indoor experience can be part of their golf experience summer, where people might choose to, in the real heat of the day, still want to work on their game. So they might come here and do a TrackMan combine or work on their yardages and get some feedback. One thing, now, yes, some golf courses have great golf balls on the range, but a lot don't, let's be honest. And, hitting a good golf ball into a TrackMan and getting your carry yardages is going to be far more accurate to getting feedback on your ball flight than going to a driving range with beat up balls. So, a better player understands that. And we certainly see the data that better players do come to indoor facilities to get feedback because they struggle to find outdoor environments where they can hit good golf balls and get good feedback for their ball flight. So, rain days, cold days, super hot days, players that want accurate feedback. There's a number of reasons why we think we're going to do well in here this summer. We don't have any illusions of it being as busy as the winter. But we're going to keep the lights on and flip it from heat to AC and cool the place down a little bit and give people another option on a super hot or cold or rainy day.
And what about the idea of really, this is the best time, I think. I'm trying to just have you say, like, if you're working on your game, now's the time to do it. And Burloak Indoor Golf has got such great facilities, as we've mentioned. But talk a little bit about how you can grow what you're working on indoors away from the feedback of watching the ball flight. I mean, outdoors.
Well, I think every day of my life, it seems probably every few minutes, I think about delayed gratification. It's just a huge part of my being. But, you are certainly somebody, Howard, that is willing to delay your gratification, and you understand the value in putting in the effort and swinging those speed sticks and dedicating a good chunk of your house to your golf development.
Yes.
And
all right. Yes.
So
you're saying that he's really obsessed.
By the way, I have to tell you, both of you, because you know me, I broke a speed stick. I broke one.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus. I'm the only person that could do it indoors. I literally snapped the green shaft the other day because I had a mic stand I was using to hold my head in place, and I forgot where it was. And I swung back and I snapped the weight off. And I just
only you.
I know.
Yeah. Contact
anyway,
super speed.
I got a hold of Ryan there at Speed Stay. I've actually had to order a single replacement.
Yeah, I bet you he'll tell you you're the first person to break one of those things. But
I know.
It's But yeah, I think, a lot of people do understand that with golf, you gotta put in the reps, and this is your opportunity to do it. If you ever want to get past thinking about your golf swing on the golf course or overthinking it, you've got to get those reps in and get that feel so it becomes something that's comfortable and holds up under pressure. And the winter's the time to do that. That's your opportunity here in the north. Is that we kind of have that opportunity to grow our love for the game, let those passions get, we get so excited about golf season because we have our winter, and it's an opportunity to dig in and improve. So yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, everybody's got their own sort of way of going about their golf, but there's so many people we know that are going to call in the spring for their lessons. They're going to say, all right, I want my year to get off to a great start. I'm going to sign up for 4 lessons in May, and and immediately you're kind of telling them, look, we'll make the most of this. We'll maybe do some short game or try to do some quick fixes on your swing, get it ready for season. But I'm already telling them, like, look, you got to come in next winter, and try to get them thinking about that. But there's a lot of people that will obviously not do that.
Well, listen, man. For a lot of reasons, and not the least of which, and I think we both are such fans of yours personally, and if anyone deserves this to work, it's you, man. A lot of people will be interested in your success and be cheering for you, and the two of us are definitely big fans. Burloak Indoor Golf. How would you like people to come and contact you?
Yeah, burloakindoorgolf.com. My email is seancasey.golf@gmail.com or the scasey@clublink.ca. So, yeah, I'm here. The big thing is I appreciate what you're saying about me and deserving this, but really I've always felt like take care of business, take care of the people, and and I get to take care of in return, so to speak. But it's really a focus on trying to create a great experience for our people. And if our people are happy, then I'm going to be happy. So.
But just understand that, just look into the future. This is you. This gray shit, it never goes away. It just gets worse.
It's funny. Like, I swear, I see more dark than gray. I don't know what you guys are looking at.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe you'll be the only one.
Yeah,
Sean
2 minutes
Casey,
for looking so good.
Exactly. Burloak Indoor Golf. Go
Thanks,
check it
guys.
out. Thanks, my friend. Shawnee, I'll see you when I get back.
Beauty. Have fun down there.
Man.
Thanks, pal. Yeah, some guys say, and I don't want to discourage you, but a lot of people who are working on their golf swing, I'm not saying it's too late. I'm just saying, like, if you're not working, I literally start at the end of each year. That's when I do sort of November, December. I start to break it down and decide what is the one thing I could maybe change over the winter, because it's so hard, right?
Are you talking about like a technical thing, like stop taking it so inside, or
whatever that thing is? Yeah. But I try not to dick around with it too much during the season. But as soon as it's over, I start, like, I probably mess around more with my swing and, the later stages of when you can still play outdoors. But, I mean, listen, you coach people all the time. It's really hard to make a technical adjustment. You need to go and rep it. And for the longest time, I was, doing it indoors. I'd go to Glen Abbey, and he's right. I would go there a couple times a week, and you were just hitting into a wall. In fact, that old facility he had one sort of simulator. I don't even think it was Foresight. But anyway, the point is, in the indoor season is the best time to address whatever little thing you think you can change.
Because, to your point, it takes time. If you've been swinging a certain way for decades, it's going to take a long time to make that change. I mean, it's the delusion that so many people have in golf is they see something on YouTube or they read something and they go to the range on Friday and they go, whoa, they're pretty good. The next day they think that they've got it. Sorry, you don't. It just takes a long time. It's like the things that, Rory McIlroy's been working on in October, they start to come to fruition in March and April.
Yeah, and you think about those guys when they're addressing a technical issue. Excuse me, they're repping it hours and hours a day under supervised, conditions.
Absolutely.
They're working directly with their coach every day, but they're working against a ideal every day. Whereas the rest of us, I think you just said it perfectly. We see something shiny on a YouTube video or an Instagram thing. I'm as guilty of that as anyone. I quickly go and run into my lab and I go, what would this do? I've taken some lessons. I work with Sean off and on. I go down there and I just, like I saw him a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, I'm about to go away for a month. I just want you to have a look at what I'm working on, what we're working on, and where do you think it is? And so I sort of left that going, okay, there's a couple things I can focus on when I'm down south. And then when I get back, I'm going to say, well, that's it. I mean, basically, at the end of March, I don't want to be worrying where my, what, and I'll tell you the thing, in case you're curious, the one thing I have worked on the hardest this winter is my setup, because that doesn't hurt me. You know what I mean? I don't hurt my back. I'm not swinging at full speed. I just work on my setup every day, just making sure the ball's in the right spot. That my tilt. I've tried to get a little stronger this winter. That's what I have worked on. But I've tried to get stronger so that I can hold the tilt through the swing better, as opposed to that feeling we all have, a lot of us have, of standing up through the ball. A lot of that comes from my, sort of a weak core. So anyway, that's what I'm working on.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, similarly, I've been working on my setup, and you were talking about, last time we talked, you talked about using I forget what it's called, photo booth on your Mac,
Yes.
but I've got a
Computer.
tripod, and so what I've been doing is been setting it up and doing taking videos of myself down the line chipping and face on.
Yeah.
And just the point I wanted to make was, you remember a couple years ago when you and George McNamara did the intervention
Yes.
with me? And the thing that George first noticed when I first went to him to ask, hey, what's going on? Because I was really suffering the left to lefts off the tee. What he noticed was that my head was behind the ball. And so when I started to just check my setup a couple of weeks ago, head still behind the ball. So I'm still working on getting myself more forward so that if you take a line and it goes up, and I'm still a little bit confused how on top of the ball I need to be. Because if I take a line on the V1 and go straight from the ball straight up, it kind of intersects just kind of like my left ear. And I'm looking at videos and saying, okay, where's Rory got the ball?
Yeah.
But
we're all so the same. I would just say, from a technical point, you comparing yourself to the best in the world is not always the best idea. But technically, as long as your head sort of occupies a sphere, like it doesn't go way off one way or the other, you're probably okay.
But this, again, to our main point, this is something that, so rather than working on something like what I'm doing with my right elbow, working on my setup, that's something that I can get if I get in my reps. And I do it like every day.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, working on my setup in my mirrors and with my computer, yeah, I take the odd swing, but mostly, this is the longest, speaking of the weather, this is the longest, I mean, statistically, it's one of the longest stretches of cold weather we've had, but It is the longest stretch I've had without physically hitting a golf ball outside.
Oh, yeah, with your
Because
little
normally
walk around.
Yeah, in the dog area I go, I can hit wedges, and there's always
Not when the snow's like this.
I've even hit it. Yeah, now we go out there. I'm like, both of us, I'm on snowshoes. Anyway, but working on your setup is something that you can do. And, as you said, you videotape it, whatever, but it is a tangible thing you can be aware
100%.
of. Because, to be honest with you, and I'm teaching golf is one of the hardest things, I think, because it takes so many repetitions to change a small thing. And that most men and women in the age category that listen to the show, 45 to 70, they're not going to do that. You're just not going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you can do something like respond, say, to a target. That whole external focus thing that our friend Mike Martz has talked about, Gabriel Wolf, who we had on the show years ago, having an awareness of swinging to a target, that can help. But I'm right with you, man. If you're trying to do something different with your right knee and shift your weight and all that stuff, that's so hard. It can be done, but you need an extraordinary amount of time, and generally you need someone who's watching you do it and giving you really accurate feedback. But hey, can't let this go. I gotta come back. Take me through the experience of your little issue with your speed stick.
Oh, no, it wasn't done at an anchor.
I know it was, but as someone who's damaged drywall, broken a lamp, an overhead, oh my God, put a dent in my parents' love seat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is traumatic stuff.
Well, that whole room, at one point, I had mattresses against the wall, and I was firing full-on golf swings, and there's holes all over the drywall. I stopped doing that. again, at the behest of my girlfriend. She's like, "Do you really think that's the best?" No, I was working on something. Speaking of heads, I was working on something with Sean, and I've been working on this for a couple years. Just trying to do something where I keep my head similarly, not same as you, but in a similar thing, trying to keep it more centered, but centered when I hit the ball, because I tend to sort of extend and move away with my head sometimes.
Is that what you
And
call?
so-
Was that the moose humping or goat?
No,
humping?
goat humping. It's part of the goat humping experience. And a lot of, I mean, technically it's called early extension, but I call it goat humping. Anyway, so we were working on this last time where he was holding something against my head. And I said, I wonder how I could figure this out in my golf lab. But I'm in a studio here, and we've got lots of spare radio and broadcast equipment. So I went downstairs, got a mic stand, and it's full on. It's like 7 feet tall, and I got the arm part, and I put it against my head, and I took swings with it, and I recorded it to see if my head could stay there. So I had put it aside, and I was doing my speed training, and I got the green out, and I just took a backswing, and it snapped against the arm of the mic stand. And I just looked at it. I'm like, that is hilarious. I just broke a speed stick.
But it's shocking too. But it's shocking too, isn't it? Because I'm sure you're just swinging, and all of a sudden, whack! Oh shit!
No. And at first it didn't break. I was like, oh, that's a drag. And then I just looked at it and went, oh, it doesn't seem to be too bad. And then it literally, like in slow motion, just dropped off. The shaft just broke.
Oh, that's hilarious. We need to do a show. I think actually we did one years ago where we get people on to talk about the injuries they've done to their houses, swinging indoors. I used to have a George Knudsen swing trainer, and we gutted our kitchen back in our first house. And the only thing in there is our stove. And the George Knudsen swing trainer, molded grip, about 18-inch shaft and a weight on the end. So you just swing it through the winter. And I'm in we've got lots of space here. I'm swinging the thing. All of a sudden, whack! I look back. I've taken about a loony-sized chip of paint and dented the top of the stove. And I just thought, oh my God, I am in so much trouble. And so when Sandy got home, I'm thinking like, oh, I just like little boy. Oh my God. And she just started laughing. She just went, you're sick.
Yeah, there's something wrong with us.
Sick.
For the longest time next to my bed in my matrimonial home, in case there was an intruder, I had this old golf trainer thing, was just basically a grip and a weight. So if you came, the joke used to be, if you came in and tried to do anything in our house, I was going to show you how to work your backswing. I was just be like, this is because I couldn't hurt anyone with it. Listen, we don't have a whole lot of more time. You wanted to talk about a little bit about the Super League of Golf, the Greg Norman-led Saudi golf concern. Just before we came on this morning, I read some story about Bryson DeChambeau denying he's been offered $135 million. Earlier in the week, there was rumors that Ian Poulter had been offered $30 million.
Yeah.
And DJ, I loved Dustin Johnson's reaction. He was kind of like, he was offered $30 million? Like, almost like, what would I be worth then? If Ian Poulter's worth 30, well, it's somewhere between 30 and 135. What are your thoughts?
It's wow. I think there's a lot more interesting stuff to come. I mean, and initially I was going, because this is a Saudi-backed thing, and I don't want to lend any credence to the Saudi government, and it's a lot of stuff in that culture that really scares me. But then I started thinking like, and it was from the Lee Westwood interview that I thought was cool. And he was, even though he signed an NDA, he chirped a bit. And one of the things that's interesting is they're going to bring a team golf element into it. And part of it is, of course, is that why is the Ryder Cup every 2 years so riveting? Team golf. And I coach a university team. And what makes that, again, so compelling, so exciting is the team element. So it'll be interesting to see. And Lee Westwood made an interesting point that I resonated with. And he says he doesn't watch much regular golf. If he's not playing in a major, he might watch it on Sunday, because it's week after week of mostly 4 rounds, stroke play, and it can get a little dull, a whole
Yeah.
lot dull. Particularly when you've got things like, well, this week you've got, how many top 50 players do we have in Pebble Beach? Maybe 7. And the rest, of course, are lured off to Saudi Arabia. But so that team golf thing I find very interesting. And initially I was really against in a major way, but now I'm just kind of wait to see what happens. And it's not a bad thing when upstart leagues come up, they can really make things better. When the AFL came along, it made the NFL better. The NHL got better with the WHA. So I'm sure at the PGA Tour headquarters right now, they're going apeshit, but it's pretty interesting to see what's going to happen.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. Rather than respond to that, I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah, I'm more interested in what you think.
No, I think initially there was it's when anything new comes along, our reaction, whether it's the truck convoy or the COVID, anything new comes into human beings' lives, it's just easier to say no. And the reason no is the easiest thing to say, even from a sales standpoint. Why is no so hard to overcome? Because when you're trying to sell something to somebody, it's just easier if they go, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I throw a little Norm Macdonald at you. I don't want to do that. It seems like I'd have to learn something. No one wants to learn or do anything new. That's why the most magical thing that can happen to adults is when somebody cancels plans. It's like, oh, that's great. I don't have to do that. Because is there anything better than doing nothing? I know this is a long way. You're like, why does this have to do with his new golf league?
Well, you can just take this to golf swing stuff, but no, keep going.
But absolutely. Human nature is to be against the new and try and find reasons why the old is the best. But some of what you say is very true. I mean, people could argue that the WHA really just benefited players and by bringing their salaries in line to what they should have been paid. Bobby Hull was famously paid $1 million. This was in the mid-1970s, $250,000 a year to leave the NHL. And that's a lot of money back in that time. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's thinking that these players aren't considering these huge amounts of money that they're being thrown around, then they talk about, well, what about your legacy against the best players in the world? And again, to your point that the everyday, week in, week out PGA Tour event isn't all that compelling. I watch every Sunday afternoon, almost without fail, because I love the idea of there being a winner or loser of a championship every week. Now, I won't watch most tournaments Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I will the majors. But Sunday afternoon, I know between 3 and 7, there's going to be something compelling happen in the world of golf.
Agreed.
But there is a little bit of I think there's some confusion. Because both the PGA Tour and the DP Tour, all right, the former European Tour, have said they'll ban their players. They'll ban them if they join the league. But the 4 majors are not under the purview of those tours.
100%.
So a player might think, well, listen, how many John Deere, Pebble Beach Pro-Ams do I give a shit about winning? As long as they can still play in the Masters and the other majors, I think that's going to determine some of the players thinking of going. Like Nick, you mentioned Lee Westwood, Phil Mickelson. Very interesting article.
Yep, absolutely.
His quote was, the PGA Tour has an obnoxious amount of greed. And I was like, well, really? How do you... And then you go and read that the PGA Tour owns the players' images, rights. When he was telling the story about that match, he had to pay $1 million to use the images of his own golf swings, et cetera, et cetera. So there's as Shakespeare famously said, Tim, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt about in your philosophy. There are things going on that we don't really know yet, but ultimately might actually be good for us, the viewers, because, hey, listen, if it's a choice between, and again, taking nothing away from these smaller tournaments, and I love watching these young kids play, but if it's a choice between watching, DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, and a group of players at that level play some international tournament on a Sunday afternoon. And there's no contest to what I want to watch. I want to watch the best players playing against each other.
Yeah,
More
absolutely.
often.
And yeah, and one of the things that hit me, as I've been reading stuff, including the Phil Mickelson stuff, is for years, I mean, you look at the astounding amount of money that players in major sports make.
Exactly.
Football, baseball, basketball. It's insane. I think it's ridiculous. But
No, but your point. Let me just jump back in. If you're the Dustin Johnson of baseball, you're automatically making $30 million a year from your team.
Exactly. And then pile on endorsements. Like, how much money do people really need? But that is what's going on. They're looking at these other people, and like, they put in just as much work, all that kind of stuff, and the money they make is just nowhere near what these other folks are making. So, as Phil Mickelson said, how much is greed at work here? Yeah, I don't know. That's another thing to talk about. But when someone's waving something different, and what's really interesting too is that I was initially, my hackles sort of came up, if you will, because it was Greg Norman. I can't stand Greg Norman, and there's just, in terms of like a selfish person. There you go. I said it. But there's just something about that dude. But I think he's bringing up some important stuff about making the game more international, allowing these guys to basically to get more value out of their skill, what they bring as an entertainer.
Yeah, let me just jump back in, if I can, for Greg Norman. Listen, Greg Norman was right. I used to love Greg Norman as a player, and I know as a guy he's kind of prickly, and but you can't argue with Greg Norman was right 30 years ago or 25 years ago when he brought this up then about an international flavor. It created the WGCs, the World Golf, whatever that thing is. Is that right?
Yeah, I know. I think you're right on.
No, but I'm saying
whether you could draw a straight line, don't know. But yeah.
No, but what is the name of that
WGC
thing?
World Golf Championships.
World Golf Championships were created because of Greg Norman, and those have become the secondary big marquee events to the majors. So he did that.
Yeah.
And now here he is, stirring stuff up again because, and I want to address something. Yes, this World Golf League may have trouble making inroads in the States initially because of the local nature of Americans. They're going to want to support their local, Ohio Memorial, all these things. But internationally is where the Saudi money is going to be spent, because internationally golf is so much more popular than it was when Greg Norman first poked his head up and said, hey, maybe we should do something different. He was vilified for it, and yet they went off and created these World Golf Championships, which have been great for the game. And the first thing you said, though, is everyone's bringing this up. Well, I don't know if I want to take, the Saudis and their international reputation about how they treat women and how they go about their business. Yeah, but we're okay with Americans killing, I don't know, some say a couple 100,000 people looking for weapons of mass destruction that didn't ever show up. So we're okay with that. It's just funny how we all pick and choose and part of the vilification of the Saudis is deserved, but it's also partly because they're foreigners. You know what I mean? So there's some of that all
and
wrapped
they dress
up
weird and
exactly. They're foreigners. There's a lot of that in the pushback against this. And I've read it. That guy writes, I really like this writer too. Eamon Lynch writes in Golf Digest or Golf Week, whatever. He's a good guy. I like his reading.
Yeah. He's good.
But that's sort of his pushback, his uncomfortableness with the Saudis. And I'm like, yeah, but you're comfortable with the Americans, and look what they do. So all by way of saying, I think in the end, there's going to be, this isn't going away. And I know we've talked about it before, but when we talked about it before, I think we were doing that old guy thing. I don't know, some new stuff. Now, when is that on?
I mean, those guys in the Muppets are always in the
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? It's like, I was like, I don't want to keep track of another thing. Do I have to keep track? You know, like the same thing with this new craze. People are doing the Wordle every day. I'm like, no, I don't care. I don't care to solve a puzzle in 5 letters. I don't care about it.
and then the New York Times buy it, and then they infer they might put it behind a paywall. And
Great.
oh my God, don't do that.
I'm at the age now where I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be doing anything with the following: Wordle, Bitcoins, or NFTs. I know what they are. I just don't care about them.
What about crossword puzzles?
I love crossword puzzles.
They're known to keep your brain active.
Yeah.
And word off.
Yeah. I'm just talking about learning new things. Like so that's what this Saudi thing or this golf thing is all. It's all wrapped up in that human. This kind of comes full circle. Human nature is to resist change. And now back to what you do and what I'm doing here on this show is talking to people about making changes. And I want to just float, if we can leave the Saudis behind for a bit, to float this notion to you. And it's the notion of doing little things often. It's part of the Pathways to Power seminar. I've introduced this phrase recently, LTOs. And LTOs are little things often.
Oh, yes.
And that's what golf is. It's an amalgam of doing a lot of little things all the time. Not always, as Case said, we want instant gratification, but golf is delayed gratification. Not only in how you swing a golf club, because the gratification of learning to do it better takes thousands of repetitions, which is why, and you've said this famously, we all do it. We get a swing thought on Friday. We try it out Saturday, the first 3 holes, it works great. As soon as it doesn't, we're on to something else. But golf is, by its nature, is an amalgam of things, little tiny things that add up to an overall better outcome. What do you think about that?
You're bang on. Golf spiritual leader, once
Thank
again. I think you continue to ascend to another level, but
I'm really, I don't even recognize myself.
I'm just trying to keep up best I can.
Well,
But
you're doing okay.
Thanks. That's encouraging. What you're saying is backed by so much research now, is that you're better off to do, like, you think, what was that? Little things often, even to do, rather than having to go to the gym 3 times a week for, say, like an hour. And then that's hard sometimes to work into a schedule. You can actually do a really good workout in about 7 minutes.
Yep.
You could do that every day. You get it done. And the same way you can work on elements of your golf game, like the setup you talked about.
Yep.
It would take like 5 minutes to, whether you do it in a mirror or you have like your iPhone or something or whatever, to check your setup. 5 minutes a day. And like I talked about 2 weeks ago, before I come into my office every day, I hit 20 chip shots. That's I do like 5 with pitching wedge, 5 with left hand with my 54, 5 with right hand 54, both hands. That's 20 shots every day. Do that Monday to Friday. That's 100 chip shots a week.
Yeah.
And it takes me 5 minutes, and it just keeps me connected to what's going on. Little things often, and that's. There's all kinds of good, there's Tiny Habits book out there, Atomic Habits. The reason this stuff is popular because I hate to say it, but it works.
Well, and I know I think we talked a couple of weeks ago, and by the way, thanks to everyone that reached out to me after my decade certification. I've had several great conversations with some STDs. A few people have engaged my Sherpa. I'm sort of stealing this from a friend of mine, the retirement Sherpa, but I was sort of telling one guy, I said, listen, I'm just like the decade Sherpa. I've gone through it, so maybe I can help you pick out a few things that help me. But in having those conversations, and what I've done is I've actually gone back and started the entire program again.
Cool.
Because I want to go through it sort of with the guys that I'm helping, and then I'm sort of going through it like quicker, like I've got the videos on 1.5 speed, but I'm just taking notes and reminding myself of some of the things I think they're important. But I just want to leave you with this notion. Not leave you, but I want to just float this notion. So knowing that golf is about doing little things all the time, I was having this conversation with somebody about the value of a bogey to an average player and why and it sort of ties in with what we're talking about. Because we all have this notion at a certain level, and I'm talking about when you're in the sort of getting down to single digits, you start to go to 11, 10, 9, 8. So you're an 8 handicap, and on an average hole that's pretty tough. It may not be the number one handicap hole, but a bogey for most of us, we think that's a loss of a full shot. And knowing that that feeling of, I've bogeyed the hole, I've lost a shot. But if you took your handicap against your peer group, that bogey isn't a full shot. It's a percentage of a shot. And the reason it's important to know that is on the way to that, sometimes we try and make par when we're out of position, thinking bogey's a bad thing. But bogey is only 4/10 of a shot loss. Or a 5, it may only be half a shot loss. But if you feel like you've lost a full shot, now you're trying to, scramble to do something and you end up losing more than half a shot. You make a double bogey. Now it's a full shot. The point I'm trying to make is against your peer group, making bogeys doesn't hurt you. It's a little thing, but the more bogeys you can make instead of doubles, the more often you can do that over the course of a round, it adds up to lower scores. And over the course of the season, it adds up to lowering your handicap. But you have to know that bogey, that little thing that you did instead of the double at the handicap level we're talking about, 8 to 12, man, that's such a big thing because of the statistical variability of the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that was a long.
No. What I like about that is that it helps people to understand how their perceptions color their approach to the game and their view of themselves, and and that's one of the values of, I think, that people are starting to understand about analytics, is that it changes their perception. It's becoming more common knowledge to people that PGA Tour players make 50% of their 8-footers.
Yeah.
Well, that changes your perception perhaps of yourself and your competency, because if you miss a lot of 8-footers, well, it doesn't mean your putting stroke sucks and you're a choke artist. No, it just means you're going to miss your share of them. And so I think perception is such an important thing, and that's what those numbers allow us to understand. And, it's like at Blue Springs where I play, number 8, number 10 are the toughest holes. If I make bogey, fine, particularly in competition, I'm not losing a stroke. In many ways, I might be gaining.
I'm going to tell you, if you make, again, versus your peer group, not a PGA Tour player, that 10th hole at Blue Springs, we've mentioned it a million times. People by now understand it's a very difficult hole. Against your peer group, bogey is like you probably gain.
That's my point.
Gain something, a percentage. You may not gain a full stroke, but you're going to gain some more than you'd think. Here's the thing about, and I had this conversation with somebody. I said, and this concept came from me talking about some stuff with Fitzsimmons, and we're talking about, like, if you take if you're a 6 handicap, take the 6 hardest holes on your course, the ones that rank 1 through 6. You're going to bogey them most of the time. Expect to bogey them because that's kind of your holes to bogey. That's why you get shots on those holes. So knowing that, and you put it beautifully, because being aware of statistical how how it works, it does help your perception. In the decade world, we'd say it's about your understanding, having a good understanding of what's expected from you and your handicap. So when we're, at my course, 6 Leithfield, I always think about it. It's 460 yards from the blue tee. If the pin is at the back of the green, it's a 480-yard par 4. Well, I'm a scratch golfer, but I'm old. So from those tees into the wind, I'm not trying to make anything but a 5 on that hole, because for the day, in that moment, for any day, and I should say, but especially when it's a back pin, especially into the wind, it's a par 5. And I play it like that. And so you walk off that hole with 5 and you don't feel inside of your golf body like you've lost anything. And that's a really important little thing to note over the course of the season. That every time you don't do something bad, we'll say, every time you don't 3-putt is another notch on the statistical journey of lowering your handicap.
Absolutely.
even if you've got a 15-footer to save your par. You feel like, man, I got a bit of bad luck. It didn't bounce onto the green. I didn't make a good chip. What happens in that moment psychologically is we try too hard to make the 15-footer. We hit it 5 feet by and we make a 6. Rather than go, okay, bogey's okay. I don't lose a full shot. If I get this 15-footer somewhere near the hole and it happens to go in, bonus. But if I tap in the putt for bogey, doing that 100 times over the season lowers my handicap.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Most people, because of that delayed gratification thing that Casey was talking about, most people won't do it.
Again, and so the other thing is to come back to say perception. Par, in so many ways, we've talked about this from time to time. Par, in many ways, is arbitrary. Somebody decided, and it makes sense. You have a hole that generally most people are going to hit in 2 shots. That's a par 4. So if I don't make a 4 on the hole, does that mean that I suck and I'll forever be mired in mediocrity? No, you just made a 5 that day. Yeah. Oh well, okay. It doesn't diminish your enjoyment of it. That's why I just finished reading a very interesting book called The End of Craving by Mark Schachter, and it's about eating, but mainly so I can be brief about it. It's how we've changed our perception about food. It's all this wanting and craving instead of really liking what we eat and eating things because they genuinely taste good. And I think the same thing happens in golf. People are craving that their handicap goes down or they shoot a certain score. And so thus there's a tendency to miss that there's an experience we can have playing golf that can include shooting lower scores. And
Right.
I'm all for shooting lower scores, all for that. But I also want to have a great experience with my friends. I want to enjoy being away from my phone and being in the outdoors. That if we lose track of that, then it really diminishes the enjoyment we can have in golf. And I think just the more fun we have, bonus.
Yeah.
We shoot lower scores.
I think all of that is true. And again, we're kind of getting to the end of my availability, but I will just say that, I wouldn't say I dispute what you just said, that having fun and being outdoors and being with our friends and the community of golf and all that's fantastic. But the craving that golfers experience, the ennui, the disappointment in themselves, all those things come from not having and again, I know I sound like a broken record, but in 2017, when you and I took this seminar, it changed the way I thought about how golf is played. But last year really, cemented it for me. If I want to have fun and I want to enjoy myself. I love being outside and I miss that experience of being out of doors. But I'm really clear about what I'm doing out there, which is to shoot the lowest score I can every time I play.
Yeah, but you're not a dickweed about it, and you don't pout when you miss a shot, and it's not all about the score.
No, I know, because we all know I was a dickweed about it and did pout when I hit a bad shot. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of golfers are somewhere in between. I've had some conversations recently with somebody who said to me, if I have a bad front nine, then I'll try some things on the back nine, like, try some shots and experiment with the thing. And I said, that's great. I like to do that too. When I'm dicking around with my buddy Tim or my buddy Paul and we're just playing around. But I said, if I'm keeping score that day,
exactly,
I'm not going to do that.
That's right.
Because I don't want to just have a half a round. I want to know that even if I didn't have a very good round in terms of, the score I'd like to shoot, I want to know that I conserved every shot I could. And hey, that's just the way golf is some days.
Yeah.
And all I'd say to the people that are, well, I just like playing golf for fun. Why do we have to take it so seriously? That's fantastic. If that's who you are, then don't keep score. Or if you keep score, don't be pissed off when it doesn't line up with what you thought it should be.
Exactly. Well, I always come back to intention. What's your intention? If you're playing in a member guest with a client, you're focused on your client having a good time. If you're focused on shooting a good score, well, you're going to screw up hosting your client.
Yes.
If you go out in a golf game and you're going to focus on what your right elbow is doing, give up scoring for that day. The intention, but so to me, it can include all of these things. If it's all about just the number that goes on the scorecard, I think actually we play worse in many ways. And yeah, so
Well, the way my buddy Hendo used to say it to me, he says, "Are you gonna?" I'd say, "Hey, I'm on my way to play men's tonight." He goes, "Are you gonna practice or are you gonna play?" I go, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, are you gonna work on your game or are you gonna try and score?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I thought maybe I'd work on that thing." He goes, "Well, then then don't worry about the score." And I'd find it impossible not to worry about the score. But I would say to him some weeks, I'd have like a GAO event that just finished, and I'm like sort of just cruising that I'm gonna dick around today for the entire round. And if I shoot 81 or whatever score doesn't make me happy, I'm going to leave knowing that's what my intention was. Great word. I mean, sometimes I was telling this to somebody, like if you and I were playing, I don't know, 8 at Blue Springs, and I was kind of at a position there on the left-hand side, and I had a shot that I'd had to sort of punch down and then hook around or do something. I'd say, "Hey, Tim," I've done this with people. I'd yell at you, go, "Hey, Tim, I would never try this for real." You know what I mean? Yeah. I want you to know, because I'm telling myself, I'm about to try something that is ridiculous, but I just want you to know this is not for realies. Because for real, I chip out.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I love the fact that golf's about this community of people, but I also am very clear that even for funsies, if I'm trying to post a score, I'm going to make the decision. Hopefully, I'm going to stick to my decision-making process, even in a round that's fun. Yeah. Because unless I've decided, as I say, at the start of the round that I'm just there to help you. I've done that with you a couple times, played 9 holes, couldn't tell, I wasn't worried about my score because we're just talking. But even if it's the Saturday morning game, I'm trying to score the lowest I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So,
all right, kids.
Cool stuff. So one thing before we go, I want to connect to a friend, Sean Casey.
Yes.
I mentioned Nate Robinson. He's coaching out of there. He and I are launching the Quiet Mind Golf Program.
Yes.
We're going to do a session, a 2-hour session per month at, I love the acronym, Burloak Indoor Golf. Big. So
big.
That'll be, just watch my website, o'connorgolf.ca, for some information on that. So that'll really be fun. So I'm just.
Well, very good.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Again, thanks to everyone that reached out to me to help them guide them through the decade experience. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not for everyone. I was telling somebody yesterday.
Oh, you're 100% correct.
It's not for everybody. It's, like anything else, it's a lot of work and a lot of aggravation in the early stages, learning how to properly keep track of it all. And it's not going to be for everyone. But I think everyone can benefit philosophically from the idea that, there are a few little things you can do that will definitely impact the way you score your ball. And isn't that, part of what people are trying to do, even if they, and I will say this, a lot of the stuff we've talked about in the last 186 episodes will make even more sense once you're aligned with why you're actually doing, what you spend your time doing.
Yeah. And I just think that I think it's so cool that you're doing that. You love it, and you're a really good communicator. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised you got a bunch of people already working with you. So all the power to you, man. I think it's wonderful.
I have to keep reminding these guys, don't forget, it was just last fall I threw a 7-iron into a forest. So, I haven't.
That helps them relate to you.
That's right. No, exactly. I'm not that spiritual, believe me. I helicoptered a 7. I had to go back after and get it.
I know. We're not gurus.
Exactly. All right. So thanks to JW Apparel Inc. And, of course, thanks to TaylorMade. The new clubs they've been released actually today. Strangely enough, I think today is the day.
Oh, you're right.
On the 4th of February that everyone can get their own stealth drivers and other stuff. Listen, man, we're going to tell you how it works, and can't wait to have a full report. The next time we do the show will be I'll be in Palm Springs.
Yeah, safe travels, have fun. be, I know that you said you're a 6 handicap boyfriend. I
Yes.
think you can get down there to a 4.
I don't
at
know.
least.
I don't even know if that's possible.
Oh no, if you're based on your intent and your commitment.
Yeah, it's like in the relationship world, it's not little things often. It's just her thing only. Whatever, her thing only. Whatever that is, whatever her thing is, do that. Your thing doesn't matter. All right, everyone. Thanks very much. And, of course, o'connorgolf.ca, humbleandfredradio.com, and we'll see you next time.